So we're here today with Mr. Josh Sattin for our second interview. Thank you so much, Josh, for coming on the Golden Hour podcast yet again. Happy to have you.
Dave, I am so pumped to be here. Thanks for having me back again. I'm looking forward to chatting.
So your podcast was actually one of the top performing shows of all time. Honestly, you have some really amazing fans, and people in your community really seem to eat up the podcast. So thanks for sharing it too on your social media. That definitely helped boost it up. But you've got your own podcast now, and you've been really active on it. Tell me about that.
Thanks, Dave. Yeah, it was. I obviously really enjoyed it, and I was really appreciative of you taking the time to have me on the show and let me tell my story and what I'm doing and stuff, and share what I'm doing with your audience. So that was really cool. And yeah, I got a lot of great feedback from posting it as well from my audience. People were really excited to hear me talk about, I'm always talking about farming stuff. So people are excited to hear about sort of behind the scenes a little bit and hear a little bit more about what I've been doing, and also have me interviewed about not farming stuff. I think is really interesting. Like, talking to people about things other than their main thing. So yeah, so I basically restarted my second YouTube channel, which I started last year, and then I was way too busy with a whole bunch of other things. I didn't really like the direction it was going. So yeah, working on that project now too. So not a podcast, but a YouTube channel. But I do a lot of discussion video podcasts. I don't even know what to call them anymore. So there's an element to that for sure. But we can talk more about the channel. But yeah, I'm kind of running two different things right now.
What's the name of that channel? I'm going to pull it up.
Content on content.
Content on content. And what's kind of your direction for that channel?
Yeah, so it's really based on videography, filmmaking, and content creation and that kind of stuff. And I know that there's so many channels about that. And so, I think anytime you start a channel and want to grow on YouTube, you kind of want to look at what's out there and sort of find your little slot in there. And I did that same thing with the farming space when I started my YouTube channel. Granted, it was way less crowded than content creation, but for me, when I had started the farming channel, I had been taking and absorbing so much content from YouTube about farming, and so I kind of knew it was out there, and I also just wanted to give back because I'd taken so much content and information and knowledge from the other creators out there that I was like, all right, now I want to give back to the community.
That's great.
And and so like as I progressed through my journey on that YouTube channel, I became really into learning how to become a better videographer, storyteller, content creator. And so I just got sucked into the whole world of content creation on YouTube and learning how to be like buying cameras and using them and like all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I was just a consumer of that content for years, and now I'm kind of like, okay, I feel like I have something to offer and I want to give back too. And
totally.
So that's sort of the motivation behind it, because I'm a teacher naturally. I taught high school for 5 years before, that was a couple careers ago. But
yeah,
I think that's the big thing, is I want to sort of give back, and I'm not going to be doing like beginner content because all that content's out there and people have done a great job, and that's not where I'm at right now. So I'm kind of sharing, I kind of say like mid to high level kind of stuff. Some gear stuff too, because I use gear and I want to share what I've experienced and it can be helpful for people. But, a lot of it is, about videography and content creation, and I'm trying to interview other creators as well to let them share what they know and what they're good at, because there's some amazing creators out there. And as I've gotten to know more people in the content creation space outside of farming, I'm just blown away. Like everyone is, there's so many cool people out there. And I think if we all share, we're all going to get better and everyone's going to benefit from it. So it's kind of how I feel about that.
That's awesome, man. I see some of my friends on here that you've interviewed, Chris Brockhurst in particular, and you can see my mouse kind of hovering over the subscribe button. Here it goes. 3, 2, 1, boom, you got it. And I'm going to do that bell notification. Everybody do the same. Content on content. Let's get you up to, you're slowly but steadily growing your subs. Let's get you up to 5,000K by the end of the year. Let's see if that can be done.
Oh man, that'd be crazy. That'd be crazy. And it's funny, Dave, because my other channel is so much larger, and it's been so humbling to start a new channel and remember what that's like. And I had a very weird journey with my other channel. Like it grew very, very quickly.
Yeah, I remember
and so it's been very humbling and very, I don't know, weird to start over and to be in a completely different niche where I don't know any people. I don't, I don't know I'm not part of that community, and slowly getting to know some more creators and being part of it has been awesome.
Well, yeah, that's, I mean, last time we talked, it was like right after I left Indie Mogul basically and moved here to Nashville. And by the way, I don't know if you can see in the video, but I got a nice little Nashville cup here with the guitar and all that. I have face only on, so it's not going to autofocus on it. Oh, there you go. Actually,
You got it. You got it.
I guess it saw a face on it. But anyways, and I was thinking I would just get back into maybe gear or do something different. But it's taken me a year to figure out what I want to do. And here we are about to come up at the end of this year, and I still haven't posted another video. So just the podcast. But it is, I would imagine it's humbling to like start fresh. And that's kind of something I've been nervous about, is just starting fresh, because everything that I've done, Kinotika was paid for by another company, and then Indie Mogul was already in existence. So I already kind of had that built-in audience. So what has that been like starting fresh? If you can just elaborate on that, some of the things that you've enjoyed, and then some of the things that have been a little hard to get back to the beginning stages of a new channel.
I think the biggest thing is just when you post a video and you don't see views coming in, like you're used to a certain cadence with your channel, like, so many thousands of views in the first so many hours or in the first day or whatever the sort of metric is that you go by. And it's just very different because you're just used to certain growth, certain expectations and stuff like that. And so I think that's the biggest thing. And, having other social media presence, like other YouTube channels, Instagram, whatever else you're on, you'll get some spillover from there, but not nearly as much as you think. Like, that's the scary part. You're like, oh, maybe I'll get like 10%. It's like, yeah, right. If you get 1%, you'll be lucky. You know what I mean?
Well, it's because it's a completely different niche altogether, right? I mean, you do have some people in your niche that are interested in that, but it is such a different thing. So you're starting a new audience.
Yeah, and the other part is the imposter syndrome too. And I think that's real for pretty much any time you're like presenting information about a topic. Like, I think there's a lot of times where people have topics that are similar, but like for me, like I'm going from a farming channel, which, people can obviously see I know what I'm doing with the camera and the editing and stuff, but then I'm here talking about cameras and content creation. And I feel like I've experienced so much in the last 2.5 to not even 3 years yet, that it's really been helpful for me to be able to share that experience, because I think there's a lot of content creators out there creating content about videography and filmmaking and stuff. And it's like most of their content is about that. And it's like, well, I have all this other work that I'm still doing. And I'm like, well, this is what I actually do, shooting short documentaries and instructional videos and stuff. So it's really cool to have that as like a separate thing that you can see. And, you can see what I'm working on at the same time.
Well, I think that's true. I mean, obviously your Josh Sattin YouTube channel, you're about to hit 2,000 or 200,000 subscribers, and you've continued to just bang out some great thumbnails, great titles. I've noticed you've cleaned everything up even more than the last time we checked on the channel, and it's been really fun to watch your growth. I've been following you on Instagram mostly because I just haven't really been in the YouTube space this year. But how has it been on the main channel for you in the last, I guess we talked maybe 8 months ago. How has it been in the last 8 months?
I think it's been hard for everybody on YouTube. From what I hear, this year has been, with the changes that have happened at YouTube and views being down. And I think it's been tough for morale, I think, for creators, because they're sort of putting out either the same quality work or even trying harder and getting less results. And I think that's been hard on me because, you obviously are getting less traction, less revenue, those kinds of things. I also decided to change my posting schedule. I was very rigid about posting 2 videos a week, and I switched to 1 video a week a few months ago, just because I couldn't keep up with it. And so that's been a big change for me too, is, posting less often. But I think I'm almost at 300 videos on that channel. So there's a lot of content on there.
A ton of content. And, I think maybe I can speak to this because I've been out of it now for almost a year, and my perspective basically now has been that I'm grateful for this year, because I definitely was really spoiled, because I realized that over this last year, I realized that I really was doing what I loved every single day, and there were parts about it that sucked. It was hard work. But at the end of the day, the baseline of what I was doing was a ton of fun and a huge, ridiculous privilege to do for a living. So, um, you're doing the farming, you're doing the YouTube videos, and you got this other channel too. I would imagine there's enjoyment in all those things. Otherwise, you wouldn't do it. So, that being said, it has been a crazy year, and I don't know. I think a lot of people are going to TikTok. I think a lot of your viewers are. I don't know. Maybe not your viewers particularly, but I've heard that YouTube views, like TikTok, has basically surpassed YouTube's average view duration. Like on average now, people on TikTok are watching 50 minutes a day on TikTok.
That's insane. That's crazy. I know. I hear that. I hear those reports and stuff too, and I think there is. I know other creators that are pushing that direction, and even in the like gardening farming space, and are doing really well because most people are not going there. So if you want to be there, you're probably going to be one of the few people on there in like the farming gardening space.
Yeah. Have you thought about it or?
Yeah, of course I thought about it, but I think my heart is not in short form content, and
That's okay.
I think there's people that want to follow the trends, and there's people that want to, grow your channel, get the most views, the most audience, that's never been my motive. Like from the beginning with my channel, I've always kind of made what I thought was valuable for people.
Yeah.
I know we talked about this, I think the last time I was on your podcast, but I feel very strongly about that. And I think the video length is the video length that it needs to be.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I just make the video however long it needs to be. So if it's 32 minutes long, it's 32 minutes long, because that's how long the video needs to be. So that's just kind of my take on it.
You're telling stories. You're a real storyteller. I mean, you can tell a story in 15 seconds, but it's a different kind of story than you can tell in 15, or 10. And I was actually having this conversation with my friend Jevin Dovey the other day about just kind of the longevity of some of the YouTubers that we know in the tech space, like obviously like Marquez and iJustine and Sarah Dici. They're not. If you really analyze like iJustine, for example, she would be considered almost like a celebrity in terms of her fame because she's been around for so long. But her views aren't like astronomical. In fact, compared to a lot of other tech reviewers, she's not necessarily performing much better. But everybody knows who she is. She's always there. She continues to get hired to promote products because everybody knows who she is. And she just has a ton of fun doing it. You can tell with every video that she makes. And she posts so many videos too. I mean, especially during October, I think she posted like maybe 10 videos or something. But, like I have a lot of respect for those kind of long-term creators who've been on the platform she's been on it since probably 2010 or something, like maybe even earlier. But, so this is a long game that we're playing on social media content. And, what are your thoughts on that? Do you ever think about that? Like this is just a long career that you're a part of, and some of these up and downs are just part of it.
Yeah, I've been thinking a lot about this lately. Actually, as the farming channel's getting up there in age and there's so much material on there, I think a lot about like, what does the next year look like? What do the next 2 years look like? Do I keep creating the same style of content? Like what else do I need to show on the channel? What else can I share? And so I've tried to do as many, short documentaries as possible. I've done a lot. I did a fair amount this year, as much as I could, and I'd like to do more where I'm behind the camera and I'm showing other people's stories, because I think that's really powerful, and I actually really enjoy doing that as well. I don't need to be in front of the camera. And in fact, I really enjoy being behind the camera as well. But yeah, I think the long-term goal, it's like when you start a YouTube channel, you have no concept of what you're like, you get all excited, you have a bunch of video ideas and a topic, and then you don't know where it's going to go. Sometimes you do 20 videos and then it's in the can, or you're doing this a few years later and you're like, do I want to still be doing this? Or I don't know what the answer is, but I do look at those YouTubers that have been around for a long time and think like, it's like a career for them, and like I don't know how long I'm going to be doing this for, but as you were saying before, like it is awesome to be able to do this and make money from it and do what you love. Like that's really special, and I don't take that for granted at all. Like it's a lot of fun.
I think you got something here with the other channel too, because you're coming in with like you already said, but I'm just kind of reiterating, but you're coming in with all the experience of having a successful channel that's in a different niche altogether. So you kind of have this built-in B-roll and example footage that you can use on the creator-focused channel. You can say, here's what I did, this is how I did it, and you can see by the results that it worked, you know. So that's kind of cool. I mean, it's obviously more work for you. So you kind of have to figure out if, you know, have you considered hiring somebody, or like you said, I guess you just knocked down you're doing one video for the farming channel and then maybe one for this creator focused channel. Is that maybe what you're doing now, or?
Yeah, well, first of all, that channel's not monetized yet. So that's my first goal, is to get the channel monetized so that I'm not working for free. And I think that's going to be a challenge. I didn't realize how hard that was. Like, it really is. Like, I think a lot of us maybe forget. I told you before, like, my journey was very weird for my other channel. I got monetized in 2 months.
Yeah.
Because I had a viral video. But, you know, this is going to take a long time, and it's a grind. So I'm putting out 2 or 3 videos a week just to try to, like, crank through this initial stage and sort of build the library up, because I'm a big fan of searchable content.
Yeah. Hold on. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, you just stopped, and I was looking at your channel, looking for something to talk about. Great. Now I'm gonna have to edit this.
Sorry, Dave.
Okay, so I was analyzing your channel as you were talking, and
it's all good.
I think
another thing.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say one other thing about, you know, because of my farming channel background and that most of the content creators that you watch about content creation, videography, filmmaking, they're videographers or photographers. Like, I come from, I don't have that background whatsoever. Like, I learned on the job, you know what I mean? So my experience is just very different, I think, than a lot of the people that I watch creating that kind of content.
I think that's good. That's kind of been what I've been rambling on and on this podcast last year. And what I was learning, like, I don't know. I felt like the indie mogul thing for me was kind of like, I got a little taste of what it's like to be at that level. You know, 1.3 million sub channel, name recognition and all that. And I got a little taste of it, and I'm like, this is a weird niche, because it's like a meta universe, really, of, like, we make videos, and we make videos about making videos. And the reason that they look good is because we all make videos for a living, but then it becomes a living to make the videos about making the videos. So it's just this weird cycle of, like, I have to make the production value really good because the people watching it have, like, a standard, but that's not at all what the mass market on YouTube cares about. And so you get all focused on the gear and the audio, and then you kind of lose track of, like, the story. And so you got to, like, try to get good at that, and then you got to play the YouTube algorithm. But then this is a small niche, like, when it's all said and done, like, there's really not that many video professionals out there. So you're talking about spending all this time on the production for 10 or 20,000 people if you're lucky. And then, you know, so, but you look at, like, Peter McKinnon, he really kind of branched out, and he's did, like, photography and video stuff. And it was also a little bit more baseline, a little more digestible for people who may be considered beginners, or even just people who are generally interested in it. You know, and then you have people who get into drone stuff, and, you know, but I just think over the last 4 years, there's so many other people doing gear and camera stuff that it is a challenge to kind of get out there. You kind of have to come up with a unique angle. And for you, you already have that built in. The fact that you have this successful farming channel, that's you're saying it earlier. It sounded like you're saying it in a negative way, but I think it's a positive thing, because it's actually different from everybody else. So
I agree with you, Dave. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think I'm excited to follow this journey. I didn't know it was a separate channel. I just kind of saw you posting stuff on Instagram. So now I know. I've subscribed, and I will be watching. Just so you know,
thanks, Dave.
A versus B always works well. Put the dollar signs on the thumbnails. That's what I found, at least on Indie Mogul and Kinotika. So turn your face purple for $600. That's a funny video.
Yeah, that's the problem with the speed booster, the Canon C70 speed booster.
Okay. This is a good segue, I guess.
All right, I know you want to talk about cameras a little bit, so
Speaking of
after
cameras.
we just like said, let's not talk about cameras. Let's talk about cameras. That's cool.
Yeah, so last time I talked to you, you were all on the Sony train, which is fine. I mean, the Sony train's great. It's a great train to be on. The A7S Mark III is an amazing camera. I think you bought the FX6, is that right?
For a little while, yeah.
little
I didn't
while.
keep that very long. Yeah.
And then I may have had the C70 when we talked. I don't remember.
You don't have that anymore?
No, I still have it. That's what I'm using now.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I think I had it when we talked.
Yeah,
And you
yeah,
were-
definitely.
And you were asking me about it, and I was like, yeah, it's pretty good, But now you're using Canon. So what's up? You're on the
Yeah,
Canon.
man, there's so many good cameras out there, Dave, and I want to play with all of them.
They're all good.
They're all good. And at this point, when you get to a certain level, after you spend a few $1,000s on a camera, like they're all amazing. Like there's such small little intricacies that, that are gonna make or break it for you because as you use a camera more, you're gonna be more comfortable with it and want certain things that make your life a little bit easier. But you can make anything work, But I shot Canon after my first bunch of videos I shot on my phone. I was shooting Canon. I shot a lot of different cameras to try to figure out what I liked and what I was trying to learn everything. So I was going through cameras all the time, buying and selling gear and trying stuff. And I was shooting on the R. I shot on the R, like I don't know how many videos I shot on that camera in 2020. And I really want to jump to 4K, and that camera is just really hard to do 4K on. And so
Yeah.
with the R5 and the A7S III, I made the jump to Sony, and it just made more sense. And shot Sony for I don't know, maybe 9 months or so, and really enjoyed the system. Like it's really complete. The camera, the A7S III, FX3, those are incredible cameras for the money. Like
Oh yeah.
mind-blowingly good. And I just I missed Canon. I missed the colors, and that's totally subjective, but frankly, when you sit down and edit it and you're looking at the screen, like you're going to prefer one or the other. Like there's no way around it.
Yeah.
And I got good at working with the Sony footage. Like, S-Log 3 is awesome on those cameras. It really is. But at the end of the day is I really wanted a cinema camera. I was ready for one finally. I just wanted built-in ND filters and XLR inputs and
Oh yeah.
shutter angle and all that stuff. And I overlooked the C70 at first because it's not full frame, and knowing what I know now, it doesn't matter. But then I was like, oh, I must have full frame because that's like everyone says you should have full frame. And so I overlooked the C70 for that reason. But once I started looking at it again, because I'm just like nerding out on cameras, I realized how amazing that camera is. And so that was the big motivator for me to be back with Canon. So yeah, I'm using
Nice.
the C70 and on an R5 as well. And I'm kind of using both of them and trying to figure out which one for which situation. But the C70 image is just incredible. Like the DGO sensor on that camera.
Oh yeah.
There's no noise anywhere. The dynamic range is insane. Like you can be really lazy when you shoot with that camera, and the image still looks really good.
Why do you think I have one? Yeah, I've been using it almost every week. I mean, I use it on the podcast, obviously, but that's a very, very low use case. I wouldn't recommend it just for a podcast. I mean, it's great, but it's overkill for a podcast. But for my job that I've had this last year, doing courses and promotional videos for my cousins who have a photography business, it's just been phenomenal. It's like a true workhorse. I record 6 or 7 hours on a shoot. Like I'll go out with them on a wedding and film behind the scenes. And I just shot a wedding on Saturday with it. And I've got 3 batteries, and that's enough for the whole day, and 256 gig cards, and that's enough for the whole day. And the built-in NDs are wonderful. The Easy Rig is what I use with it. So that gets all the weight off, which is nice. The only thing that I hate about it, and you agree with me because you made a video about it, is the screen. The little flip screen is very flimsy and kind of wobbly, and I've already started to see it get loose. So I'm curious to watch your video, actually, because you have a video called Canon C70 LCD Screen, How to Fix It.
Yeah, you send it back to Canon, and they fix it for free.
Okay.
No, that's what the video is about, because I saw a lot of people complaining about it, and when I bought it, I knew that was potentially an issue. And I bought it used, which I buy most of my camera gear used because I tend to not keep things very long, and so I don't lose any money that way.
That's awesome that somebody sold it. It's only been out for like a year now, so.
They're out there, man. Like you can find used ones if you really hunt around. You're not going to save much money though. That's the thing. But yeah, I called Canon, and I was just like, yeah, I bought it used. I've had it for a little while. It's getting worse, and they're like, yep, send it in. and they said, Canon hasn't come out and like had an official thing saying there's been a recall, but they said send it in, we'll fix it and actually reinforce it. And I had it
Oh.
back in my hands in less than 2 weeks, and I only paid for shipping it there. They paid for 2 days shipping back.
Ooh. I should do that. I obviously don't have any shoot, not obviously, but I don't have any shoots until the end of, like, I don't think we're shooting anything till next year. So I might as well send it out now. And
Yeah,
the holidays
it was
are
under
coming
2 weeks,
up,
Dave. It was pretty easy, and it came
that's
back. It
awesome.
feels great. So
Is it
they
so
they
it,
know that.
it's better now?
Yeah, it just feels like normal. Like feels like it's. I mean, it's still. I don't have a lot of faith in it after knowing that it gets wiggly, but,
But
so
you-
far it's been holding up.
You have faith in their customer service that they'll repair it again if need be. But that being said, that would make sense because anybody who bought it that first maybe 6 months, which we did, I got it I think 2 months after it came out. Maybe that first run has a less enforced version of it or something. So,
Yeah, that's what it seemed like.
Well, yeah, I mean that's one of the downsides of being an early adopter, I guess. Sometimes you get those types of things mixed up. But anyways, what do you did you order one of the MacBook Pro M1 Max or M1 Pro by chance? I'm just curious.
I didn't. I have an M1 Mini that I
That's
do
what I
all my
have.
editing on.
It's sitting on
yeah,
my
yeah,
desk right here. I do love it.
yeah. I bought that and an M1 Air
Nice.
that I use for kicking around the house and if I'm out and about or
That's the
like
best
that's what I'm
little.
using.
Yeah, that's the best.
It's
little thing.
amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, it feels so good. And like if you're sitting on the couch or something, it's just I wanted something super easy. But yeah, I'm using the M1 Mini. It can handle the C70 or R5 footage like no
Yeah.
problem. I don't make proxies or anything, and I think if I have a couple of videos I'm toggling between, like it kind of stutters a little bit. But
Yeah.
for normal stuff I'm doing, like one video with color grade, and like it works great. Like no hiccups whatsoever.
Well, I finally got mine. It's in this box.
Would you get one of the new MacBooks?
Yeah, it's it's a fully loaded 16-inch, 4 terabytes. So
Oh my
It's-
goodness! Congratulations, man.
yeah, it's like maximum everything all the way down except for the SSD. But I am very excited because with these courses that I've been doing, they're like 3-hour long courses. I shoot 4K 10-bit on the C70. And then I have like 5 angles and then motion graphics, animations, text.
That makes
I
sense.
take like raw images and then JPEGs and put them side by side. And it's just like, it's been a headache, honestly, dealing with a computer with poor GPU power and only 16 gigs of RAM. So I did not purchase it. My boss, who is my cousin, bought it for the business, but I get to hold it. So he was basically like, will this speed up your workflow? I was like, yes. He was like, all right, we'll buy it. I was like, okay, cool. So I'm very excited to play with it. Maybe that'll be my first videos comparing it to the M1 Mini or something. That'd be fun. But I'm really, really excited. Obviously, the new like chassis is really exciting. The fact that I have an SD card slot again
That's cool.
is wonderful. But you didn't get one, so I don't want to like go
That's
on
cool,
and
man.
on. I don't want to gush about it, and then you're like, oh shoot.
No, I'm pretty happy. I mean, I don't know if we talked about this before, Dave, but I was a PC user until I bought this Mini. So
Oh, sweet.
that was a big switch for me.
That's a
I've
huge
really been
switch.
enjoying. Yeah, totally. But I switched. I was using DaVinci Resolve for forever.
That's right.
and
Yep. I remember you
Switched to
talking
Final
about
Cut on the M1, and I've been really happy with
Good
it.
choice.
It's just, for making YouTube videos, like I don't think you could really beat it. It's super.
Oh,
just-
yeah.
I can edit so quickly. I'm really looking forward to the M1 Mini Pro or
Yes.
whatever Max or whatever that thing is. Whenever that comes out, I think that will probably be something I'll have to really think about.
Yeah, because at that point, then you're literally just unplugging that one and then plugging in that one, and you don't have to change anything. You just get an immediate upgrade.
Yeah, because I'm
and I-
editing all my stuff on my desk and I have a big monitor, so like
Yeah.
the desktop, it works great for me.
I've heard too that I mean, at least obviously on the rumors, but I've heard that the mini version of this new processor is going to potentially even be better than the Pro because they can stack it a little bit more because they know it's always plugged in and it's got better cooling and stuff. So there's no batteries involved. And I would imagine it'll be cheaper too because you don't have a screen, you don't have batteries. So we'll see. But I've been seeing results too, even with the Pro. Like I didn't know anything. It's just the minute it was available, I told my boss, I was like, hey, we need to buy this. It just came out. Just max it out. But now that I've seen all the reviews, like the M1 Pro is fine. Like I probably would be fine with that. Don't let him hear this. He doesn't listen. So
Enjoy it, man. Enjoy it.
we'll see. But one request, he wanted it to be silver. I would have chosen space gray, but it's all good. Silver's cool. Silver's coming back. Silver's the new space gray for Apple, for sure. Cool. So you're back on the Canon bandwagon. Are you considering the R3 or anything
No.
else? Yeah, you're all.
Yeah, I'm really The R3 doesn't make any sense for me. I don't
Yeah.
shoot photography really, like more than like a thumbnail or random photos. Like
Yeah.
that's not my thing. Like I do video. I'm really excited though about the R3 because of the tech that's in that camera. Because to me, that's gonna then dictate what Canon comes out with in the future.
Yeah,
Because we're
totally.
seeing 4K 24 oversampled, not overheating. Like to me, that's a big deal because that's been a huge issue with these hybrid cameras in general. Is these higher megapixel
Yes.
hybrids then oversampling to get a crisp image in 4K versus line skipping pixel binning.
Exactly.
So the fact that Canon can do it now without overheating means, okay, maybe next year it's in a $4,000 camera and the year after that it's in a $2,000 camera, or maybe they just can make it cheaper right away. So I think whatever they come out with in 2022 is going to be really interesting for Canon.
Yeah,
They've sped up so much like in the last few years.
Everything is a little delayed, I think, just because of COVID and all the stuff, going on with chip shortages and stuff. So, that being said, the technology still is really exciting. It looks like on all fronts now, you've got Nikon, Canon, and Sony just swinging big with their flagships. You got the A1 with the Sony, you've got the R3 with Canon, and now the Z9 from Nikon. All of them look amazing. And at this point, if you're a professional photographer, especially in that realm, that kind of journalistic sports photographer who needs that just hefty flagship, they've got everything covered now. So there's really no reason to purchase a new DSLR. If you're still shooting on a DSLR, you don't necessarily need to change. My cousins who make a living, doing photography, they're still on the 5D4, which is a DSLR. And they're like, this works. We're happy. Like, we don't need to upgrade. We'd have to buy all new lenses. Like, we don't want to do that. By the way, do you have RF glass or do you do the speed booster and the EF? And based on that video that you posted,
this has been a nightmare. I've been back and forth about this. Well, lenses are expensive and like I don't use a lot. I don't use a lot of lenses. So for me, I generally have one or two lenses and I'm good. And so for me, finding the right one is important because a lot of times if I'm doing documentaries, I'm not bringing lenses with me out in the field. I'm not switching lenses and getting dust in there. Like I just want one good zoom that's going to do it for me. So I've tried like a lot of the combos and I really like the speed booster because of what it offers in terms of versatility with, low light, depth of field, all that stuff. But I started getting this, I made a video about it, which you were talking about before. I got this like weird purple circle in the center of my image when you're backlighting anything outside. And it happened to me like on my first shoot. And I was like, what is this? Like it wasn't a normal flare. And it's really kept me from using the speed booster. And so that's been a huge it's been a huge downside for me with the speed booster because I was like, all right, I'm just gonna bolt that thing on the camera with a little mount that it comes on and I have a full frame EF camera. Like it's good to go. And now that I've experienced this, I'm seeing this, I mentioned this in that video too, that I'm seeing it in like Potato Jet's videos and other people that post videos. I do show it in this video too. It's there. It's something with the speed booster because I did it the same. I did two different lenses with the speed booster, had the same problem, and then I also use those lenses without the speed booster and the straight through adapter, and it's not there. So that's an issue with backlighting, and which I often do when I'm outside. It's really nice to backlight your subject. So That's something that's really been hard for me to figure out. And so I think generally I'm going to be using RF glass on this camera just because it's kind of what the camera's designed for. And anytime
Sure.
you put other pieces of glass in your system, it can cause trouble. And so it's just one of those things. The RF lenses are incredible. Yeah, I did put a little clip of Potato Jet in there. And he has talked about that too. So yeah, I've been using the RF lenses lately. I think I'm just getting used to the fact that not everything has to be shot at f whatever, f 1.4,
Sure.
1. f2. Like that doesn't mean it's cinematic. And so
Well, it is annoying. It's super annoying though that it is Super 35, or it's annoying too that
is it though, Dave? Like
it's
you know what I
annoying that
mean?
they don't have APS-C lenses with the RF
Agreed.
mount. That's what's annoying.
Agreed.
Because it's like, okay, cool. I'll take like you're right. The annoyance is not the Super 35 because that is a wonderful sensor size. It's been the industry standard for like forever in terms of 35 millimeter film. Old film cameras, and then the Red, Epic, and the Arri Alexa, all Super 35. They've proven themselves to be great cameras. It's a great sensor size. I'm okay with that, but I'm spending $2,500 on a RF lens, and I'm only able
I know.
I'm only getting half of its capabilities, and it's bigger than it needs to be. It could be smaller, more compact. It's like give me a Sigma 18 to 35 with a RF on it.
Yeah, I went down that same train of thought because I was like, all right, I'm going to get the best lens. Tried the RF lens. I'm like, this is dumb. I have a $2,000 lens. I'm only looking at the middle of the frame. You think about like the 15 to 35, for example. It turns
that's
into a
killer lens.
killer lens. I use that on my R. I love that lens. It becomes a 22 to 52 like f4 or something, and you're like, for $2,000? Like, come on. So
it is usable. That's a usable range that kind of becomes your like standard zoom, I guess. But
so that's what I've been using, Dave, because it kind of gives you that 24, 35, and 50. It's also stabilized. So
I know that's what's so great about it. Yeah.
yeah. And so that was where I went, and then I was like, all right, I'm going for the speed booster, trying the EF glass, and then I went into that problem, and I'm like, all right, back to the RF lenses. So still trying to figure it out, Dave.
Well,
I think there's pluses and minuses.
I think it's the right decision ultimately because it's future proofing you. So as things change over, you just bought this camera and it's still awesome. So you're probably not going to get rid of it anytime soon, but you may in 5 years. And in 5 years, there's going to be a C80 or whatever, right? And I would imagine that it would be full frame, or there's going to be other APS-C lenses, but those lenses will carry you through. EF is a dead system. So like Canon has actually said, we are not making any more EF lenses, period. Like everything that's on the market is stuff that's just in a warehouse. So EF is officially dead. So investing in RF is the right thing to do because it is future proofing you. It will be lenses. There will be lenses that you should, in theory, keep for decades. And they are superior. They are sharper. The autofocus is better. They're lighter. You've got the IS built in. They balance better on the camera because the flange distance is so small on that mirrorless mount. So the weight of the lens is actually further towards the back. A lot of people don't know this. So like it balances better. I personally we had the 24 to 105 RF at Indie Mogul that came with the EOS R. That was the only RF that we had, so I would put it on here, and I would prefer it over the turbo booster in the same way that you were saying. Like it's just more convenient. It's the right thing to do. When you put the lens on the actual RF mount, it feels correct. It's like this is the right thing to do. But that being said, I'm using the turbo booster right now with the 16 to 35 2.8 on it.
Yeah.
And I use it. I've never taken it off since I put it on. So. But I actually haven't even, now that you've told me about this purple thing, I'm probably going to see it. And
you're going to see it everywhere. I've seen it in Facebook groups. I didn't see a lot of people talking about it, but I see people like, check out my new video I made. And I'm like, they're like, I use the speed boost, and I go watch the video and there'll be a clip where the purple circle's in there.
Wow.
So you'll start seeing it now.
It's when you have a backlit scenario.
Or just really bright outside, you might sneak in.
Have you tried lens hoods and that doesn't change it?
Doesn't change it. It's more of like a backlit. It's like I don't know. I don't know the optics. I don't know.
It
I'm
might
not
be
a engineer.
because there's a piece of glass behind the glass of the lens. It would make sense that it's reflecting inside of that thing. So you basically have a piece of glass that's reflecting some light in front of your actual lens that normally wouldn't be there. So you're getting an additional flare.
Yeah, I mean, when I got that, I set up the tripod and then I started moving my hands around like outside the lens to try to see if I could like.
Yeah.
It didn't make a difference, you know.
Okay. Yeah. So it's an element thing that you can't undo. But clients, especially clients that I have, would never in a million years even notice. In fact, they might even think it's cool. It's like, oh, cool lens flare, you know. But
yeah, I mean, those are my experiences, and it was like my first shoot with that speed booster. And I was shooting a documentary, which was a really cool video. I was really happy about, and I got home and I like saw multiple clips that had it, and I was like, oh
Jeez.
man, it's not going to work for me. So
yeah,
I'm going to use the RF lens, and I think really the image out of those is just incredible, like you mentioned. I also think that it can't be underrated how the lens feels when you're using it.
Yeah,
because the RF lenses do feel a lot better in your hands.
They
the
zoom
EF does
better. Yeah, everything's smoother.
Yeah, the tactile response is just a a lot nicer.
And you
So
have that
I do really enjoy
little
them.
click wheel thing on it too.
I don't use it though. I don't use it.
Yeah, I turned those off. You can. I'm just trying to like sell it. You can declick them. You can send them into Canon. They'll declick it. So you could put it on. You could put your iris on there if you wanted to.
I used to put like ISO on there, like on my R, but
yeah,
on the C70, like it doesn't change. Like it's always at 800. So like I don't even change the ISO. You know.
What are you using? Did you end up getting like any cool wireless setup, or are you using the Rode Wireless Go's for your audio, or?
I do have the original versions, the original Go version 1. I am often
boom mic on there.
What's that?
Sorry, I was just saying on a thumbnail I can see a boom mic on there. Is that what you're using sometimes? Just a built-in XLR mic? Or?
Yeah, I often use I have the NTG5, which I really like because it's small and light, and I think it does really well for its price point. It's super versatile. But I've started running separate channels of audio. Like if I'm doing a documentary, I'll put a lav on the subject and that. And I usually lav myself too because I talk in my film. So that's another benefit of having the cinema camera with the dedicated audio knobs on the back and stuff. So the
wonderful.
lav I'm usually using is the Sennheiser AVX.
Oh, those are great.
They're really. I figured I'm just at the point now where I'm just like I'm gonna buy the nice thing and then not have to worry about it breaking or upgrading or whatever. So that's kind of where I'm at with that sort of setup. But I do still use the Go's for things here and there.
I think you made the right choice because I bought 2 wireless Go 2s because you can't change the batteries, and I need more than 8 hours of battery life because we'll do these 12-hour shoots. And so I bought 2 of them, and both of them now have issues. Both of them are popping.
Really?
I hear intermittent popping sounds. And one of the sets has some sort of weird, it might have just been the situation that I was in, but this has happened multiple times for me. It's almost like picking up different signals. This might be normal for just radios in general, but it was odd to me. I've never heard it before. It was almost like every time an airplane would fly overhead, I would hear like I would hear the pilot talking or something. You know, it was like really weird. So I'm probably picking up other signals that are like floating around in the air. And I don't know if that's fixable, but the problem is the wireless Go 2s do have the ability to record internally or whatever. And the recording has that sound in it too. And I would think
weird.
I would think that I'm only getting it on the receiver end because of the digital signal, but it's actually recorded on the WAV file, which doesn't make any sense to me. So
I would reach out to Rode and say, "Hey, this happened. What's up?"
Yeah, I have multiple examples to show, but I was also thinking like, should I just pony up and get the AVX?
It's really nice. It's really nice. Yeah, I mean, it depends on what lav you want to get to. You can spend a lot of money just on the actual microphone, but
I know.
I originally bought that because when I had the FX3, it just plugs in because it has the XLR built into the unit, so there's no extra cables, which I love. But now with the mini XLR on the C70, I still have to run a cable to it, so
I know.
It's not nearly as clever as it was before.
What adapters are you using? I'm curious because I need to buy some.
I don't remember actually.
Condor
I'd have to go
Blue is the
look.
only one that I know of.
Yeah, I think they might be Condor Blues. I think Black Magic also makes them because it's the
That's
same
right.
for their like some of their cameras. But I
Yeah,
think I might have the Condor Blue ones.
the Black Magic ones, yeah, because the Black Magic pocket cameras are mini as well. So,
There is a
um,
company that makes some nice, really nice right angle ones with really thin
ooh,
cords. I don't know the name off the top of my head, but I've been meaning to pick a couple up just to
I need
keep
to
it a
get
little more
some.
low profile. Yeah, I'll
I
find that
have
for you later, Dave.
Thanks. I have a mic. Asden makes it. I think it's the only company that makes a mini XLR boom just shotgun. So it's a small shotgun mic. It sounds decent. It sounds fine. It sounds like a Rode video mic or something. But it is nice. It's just all one cable. I don't need any adapters, so it just goes straight in. So that's all I use it for currently. But I need an XLR adapter because then I could actually record this straight in, I guess. Does it
I think that
power
was a
the
big.
SM7B?
Yeah, it can. I mean, I'm using the Cloud Lifter and it's phantom power. So
Yeah, cool.
yeah.
I need to try it
I
out.
think that was another critique about the C70 was the mini XLRs, which I don't think is a big deal because like if I'm running a shotgun mic, I have to run a cable from the mic into the camera anyways. So I just
Yeah,
use that adapter cable and that's my cable. Like it's no big deal.
yeah, exactly. It's just you just need to have the cables. You can't just like walk into Guitar Center. More than likely, they won't have it. Well, they might. I don't know, but
I don't know.
whatever. Well, anyway, anyways, to kind of finish up our conversation, I would like to. I mean, we're coming up at the end of the year here, 2021. Give me kind of your post mortem of 2021 for you. You kind of talked a little bit about it. It was a rough year for you in some ways, but I'm sure there was also some positive things. What were some things that happened this year on YouTube, with your farm, just with your overall career that you can share, that really was, memorable, or something you're going to kind of take away from this year, if anything?
Well, I think the last 2 years have been a kind of a blur for everybody.
Yeah,
And
no
the end
kidding.
of 2020, I was managing and running a nonprofit farm in downtown Raleigh, and so I left that job to restart my farm, and so frantically rebuilt the farm and got that going and started getting income from that. And then I had a really tough summer farming wise. I had a lot of pest damage and the heat, and mentally, like farming really takes it out of you. It becomes very personal, and so that was really tough. But at the same time, with YouTube being a little bit more of a struggle in terms of getting views and revenue and stuff like that, I also started working on sponsorships more, which was great, and trying to get some really good sponsors that I like working with and paid a little bit better, which was nice.
Yeah,
And
good.
then
Happy to hear that.
yeah, it's been hard because in the farming space I'm dealing with farming companies like seed companies and tools and stuff like that, and like they don't have the marketing budget that's would normally
Sure.
be for a channel of that size, and so it's just a challenge. But getting used to that and sort of doing that, and I think also just feeling more comfortable that I have an audience and I can kind of make what I want, even though I always did. I feel like that's been nice that I can just like there was a couple videos that I made that I made one. I have one coming out soon, probably before this podcast comes out, but that I didn't talk at all, and it was just like kind of like a piece. Like I'm just gonna like make a video that's kind of fun and different,
That's
and
cool.
just put it out there. So I think stretching my creativity a little bit, and I think as I've decided to restart content on content, being more confident in my skills and knowledge, and because of that, and it probably was pretty soon after I recorded the other podcast with you and getting to know other creators and having those conversations and becoming friends with some people. And
That's awesome.
because in the farming space, there's only so many farmers that do this YouTube thing, and there really aren't that many of them. So it's like for me to be able to, connect with them about, videography and stuff like that. And,
Yeah.
there aren't that many people out there. So it's been really cool to be able to even feel like even part of that community and sort of get to know some of the people. So that's been a huge plus for me. And
That's awesome.
it's been really fun to just nerd out on this stuff that I love so much, and
Yeah.
and just be open about it and be able to share and have fun with it, because this is a secondary channel for me. So
Totally.
we'll see where it goes. Yeah.
Well, that's what's so exciting about YouTube, and what drew me to it in the first place was you find your people, and it might take the algorithm a while to find them, and you have to feed the algorithm a lot of data for them to figure out who you are and who to serve it to. But once it figures that out, if you just continue to stay consistent, it sounds like you're very consistent with this new channel. Just keep going. There's a video, maybe I'll send you a link to it if you're interested, but there's a video that I have saved on my phone that's just like a compilation of Mr. Beast talking, and it's just little nuggets that he's said on different podcasts and things, and it's just a little 9-minute video. It's called The Best Mr. Beast YouTube Growth Secrets, and it's just a little compilation video, but I kind of will rewatch that maybe once a month and just refresh myself, because his kind of passion and energy for it is so contagious. And when you hear him talk about it, it's like, yeah, I'm motivated to go do it. And one of the things that I watched it literally yesterday, actually, and that's why I'm thinking about it. One of the things he says is like, first off, nothing's going to happen for at least 4 years. So make sure that you're okay with making videos every day and working on videos every day for 4 years and not expecting any results. And I'm like, oh yeah, well, he's like, obviously there's exceptions to that, and I guess Josh, you're the exception, Mr.
I'm an outlier for sure.
So just keep hustling. It's a lot of hard work, but you are gathering an audience of people who love what you're doing, who are becoming a part of your community. And also, one of the cool like side things about this is, at least for me, it was always just being able to have these types of discussions, and I love that you're doing that yourself. And it's always like a great excuse to hang out with people who are like-minded and just talk about these things, because in real life, it's hard to come across people that are interested in these things or have any knowledge about it. And so that's why I love this podcast and why I've definitely continued doing it for so long, because every week I get to talk to people interested in the things I'm interested in. And it's kind of my little escape, if you will, because in real life, that's not necessarily the case. I'm usually having to educate people about these things, so at random social settings. So although I was just talking to Laura about this, my wife was like, that was one of the things I loved about living in LA was everybody lived there. So like you could drive over and hang out with another YouTuber and get coffee and actually talk about it. But I'm finding that even Nashville, which is kind of an industry town, like I haven't really met anybody that does it. So at least not yet.
That's definitely one of my goals, Dave, is to try to meet some people around here that are even in different niches. Like I don't care. It's just because we're doing sort of the same thing. And I felt the same way with farming, because when I started farming here, I didn't know other farmers. I was learning through YouTube. I was kind of doing it on my own. And then in the last few years, through the YouTube channel and interviewing other farmers, that I met a lot of local people and could actually, connect in person and also like learn more about what's going on here, and I think that's great. And one thing that led me to wanting to do these conversations with other creators was I was doing a live show on the No-Till Growers YouTube channel, which is another farming group that I'm involved with. And I did it every 2 weeks. We did a live video interview with people on the chat. And I realized that they were so uplifting and so motivating, because just to be able to talk shop with another farmer or another content creator is really powerful. Like you get jazzed up, you get ideas, you get to share. Like it's really cool for sure. I really do enjoy that.
Exactly. That's why I love doing this. So Josh, thank you for coming on the show. We'll have to have you on again in about 8 months. Let's start the timer now. Thanks again, Josh. And if you want to subscribe to Josh, again, we'll link it in the show notes and the description of this YouTube video. But Content on Content is his new one, all about a lot of the things that we talk about on this channel. But if you want to check out his actual main big channel, just search Josh Sattin, Sattin, on YouTube, and you can see all of his amazing farming content. Josh, it was a pleasure. I'll have to have you on again soon.
Anytime, Dave. Pleasure's all mine.